A deadly virus wiped out almost all of humanity. Seeing his son about to be attacked by a lion, Mike selflessly chose to unleash his inner energy. By the time everyone rescued him, Mike was near death. Under Molly's leadership, Black Sister and the others began to rescue him. However, the rudimentary medical conditions of the apocalypse were insufficient to stabilize Mike's life signs, and he quickly stopped breathing. In a moment of desperation, Molly performed CPR. Fortunately, after relentless efforts, he finally gasped for air. With Black Sister continuously calling out to him, Mike's condition finally stabilized. After stitching up his wounds, all they could do was pray and wait. But seeing her unconscious husband, Black Sister couldn't stand it. She grabbed her weapon, went to the scene, followed the blood trail into the woods, found the culprit, and kept firing at the roaring lion, venting her anger. Heaven rewarded her efforts. Under Molly's careful care, Mike finally woke up. After 2 months of recovery, he could walk again. The children celebrated this joyous moment, and Black Sister put her worries aside. 3 years passed quickly. The youngest, Joey, learned to fish. Heather and James grew up and explored the surroundings together every day. This led to their yearning for the outside world. After discussion, Heather and James decided to go see it, despite Mike's worry and disapproval. But the rebelliousness of youth is experienced by everyone, especially in the apocalypse. Having never left their town, the two, with their family's blessing, embarked on their unknown journey. They promised to return when winter came. But unexpectedly, they were gone for 6 years, during which time their home faced an unprecedented crisis. Having prepared ingredients, Mike intended to make a hearty dinner. But as he was about to boil water, the usually plentiful tap water disappeared. Realizing the severity of the situation, Mike and the others went to the reservoir and were shocked to find that the water source had dried up, and the supply pipes, due to disrepair, were corroded with large holes. As they were pondering solutions, Joey heard a rumble in the distance. A convoy appeared at the dam. Having not seen strangers for a long time, Mike immediately took his son and prepared to return home. He wouldn't risk everyone's lives without knowing if the newcomers were safe. Finding no one answering his calls at home, Mike anxiously drove back. The first thing he did after getting out of the car was to tell the children to go inside, but before they could act, the convoy arrived at their door. After speaking, Mike and the others cautiously approached the gate. The leader, calling himself Charlie, knew about their water shortage and explained that he only wanted to offer a gesture of peace. He then introduced his wife, Perry.
Oh.
Seeing Charlie's gesture, Mike couldn't refuse and took a sip of water as a sign of goodwill. But he wouldn't open the door easily until he understood their intentions. However, Charlie revealed a reason that forced him to welcome them. He knew the drought had arrived, and Charlie's team possessed a well-drilling machine and the expertise to use it. They could endure a temporary food shortage, but not a water shortage. To ensure survival in the apocalypse, Mike had to accept Charlie and his people. The condition was that Mike would provide supplies, and they would drill a well. Afterwards, they would part ways. This mutually beneficial agreement brought disaster to Mike's family. After accepting their hospitality, Charlie and his men began drilling. It was estimated that it would take 72 hours. During this time, Mike took Charlie hunting in the woods, trying to get to know him better. But just as they spotted a deer, a sudden gunshot startled Mike, but Charlie didn't seem to care. The newcomers quickly integrated with everyone, and Charlie made a point of showing goodwill. But his gaze towards Eva seemed to flicker with an unusual light. Mike noticed this. He told his wife that he didn't trust Charlie, but Black Sister said that Mike was always suspicious of newcomers, like with Lass and the others. But they stayed, and Molly even saved Mike's life. Mike explained that he was wrong last time, but this time he had a feeling that once the well was dug, Charlie and his people would stay. Mike mentioned Charlie's look at Eva. He worried about her safety. However, Black Sister thought it was normal. Seeing his wife didn't support him, Mike could only watch Charlie closely from above. Just as he was thinking about how to deal with the danger, the well was finally dug. With the water gushing up, everyone was overjoyed. But as Mike had predicted, when he offered supplies and asked Charlie and his men to move on, Charlie said he preferred to stay. A crisis was quietly approaching. To celebrate the successful solution to their water problem, everyone held a party. But after the party ended, Mike, anxiously standing on the platform, suddenly heard a scream. He rushed over to check and saw Charlie triumphantly emerging from Eva's room.
Good old Ish. Smarter than he looks.
Mike anxiously rushed into Eva's room and brought the shaken girl to the hall. After Molly's examination, everyone knew that Eva had been raped by Charlie, that beast. This act seriously violated their principles. Mike said Charlie was a predator who traveled from place to place looking for new prey, and this time, it was them. Black Sister, for the first time, admitted she was wrong, but currently, they had to deal with Charlie. After discussion, they decided to kill Charlie. Even if they drove him away, he would return. This was the only reliable way. So Mike knocked on Charlie's door. Understanding the visitor's ill intent, Charlie dropped the pretense, pulled out a weapon, and declared himself a wolf who could kill anyone. He thought his arrogance would scare Mike, but unexpectedly, Mike wasn't alone. He had an entire family. Seeing Charlie's ugliness and thinking of the humiliation,
For a family to a knife fight.
finally snapped and attacked. Mike wanted to vent his anger further, but Lass stopped him. Mike, who had killed for the first time, went to the bathroom and continuously washed the blood from his clothes. This experience seemed to leave a deep shadow on his heart. The next morning, Molly and the others told Perry about Charlie's death. They expected retaliation, but Perry felt relieved. She was also a victim. The rest was easy. Seeing Sailor, who came looking for Charlie, Black Sister told him Charlie was gone. Sailor seemed to realize something, but the armed people around him prevented him from acting rashly. Mike let everyone choose whether to leave with Sailor or stay. Unexpectedly, everyone chose to stay, except Sailor. But soon he returned, begging Mike to take him in because he had nowhere else to go. But remembering that Sailor was guarding the door while Charlie was committing the crime, Mike couldn't forgive him and finally drove him away. 6 years passed in a blink. 20 years had passed since the apocalypse. Due to the new arrivals, Mike's community grew larger. Under his guidance, his youngest son, Joey, showed amazing creativity. In an era of fuel scarcity, Joey built a solar-powered plane to find Heather and James, who had not returned. But before his wish could be fulfilled, a disaster struck. Late at night, Joey, drenched in sweat, came to Mike's room and collapsed. Several others fell ill as well. They thought it was a common flu, but Molly told Mike it was clearly the virus that caused the apocalypse. Because of its high contagiousness, Molly suggested everyone wear masks and isolate those who were sick. But worried about losing his son, Mike insisted on keeping Joey by his side. The illness quickly spread, half the community fell ill, and Molly had no solution. Seeing his son weakening, Mike prayed for a miracle. Just as his hope waned, good news arrived. His daughter, who had been gone for 6 years, returned. But she was alone. She learned from the west side that James had abandoned her. Now, she just wanted to stay and be with her brother until he recovered. But will a miracle really happen, or is a greater disaster waiting for everyone?